This is Ranger Kidwell Ross, editor of WorldSweeper and the director of the World Sweeping Association. Today, we're speaking with two of the principals of JTC Articulated. Although this company was just started this year, it's founded by some folks that have over 35 years of experience with articulated tractors. And they lost that line through some marketplace availability reasons and stumbled on or did a lot of research to find actually a sweeper line that is very versatile out of Denmark. It's made by a company called Egholm. And these are smaller sweepers, which fit their market, which includes a lot of snowplow contractors who need a small machine that can get onto sidewalks and so forth. But these are very versatile machines, as you'll see. They can be fitted with snowplow, mulch mower, snow blower, hedge cutters, salt and sand spreaders, and even a flail mower, in addition to having to being suction sweepers. So I think that they will have a market niche here in the United States, and we'll leave that for you to decide as you see more information about what the Egholm sweeper line offers.
Nature with what we've got before us. We've been 35 years into the background of selling articulated tractors. Um, we have a lot of clientele, a lot of snow contractors that need a small machine to fit on a sidewalk or in a tight area. We've been the past 20 years able to supply that to our contractors and also our Christmas tree growers. So that's kind of a niche market for both of those folks. But up until recently, we have lost our connection with a supplier. They no longer produce the machine that was narrow enough to fit into those places. Their passion and their drive, there just wasn't enough business there to support their direction. So that left a lot of customers and contractors of mine, empty-handed. So we started searching. We found this company in Denmark. We started speaking with them online. Most everything was through emails and also social media, text, things of that nature, back and forth. Things went quiet for about 2 months. Later to find out it was a change of leadership and also, marketing directors and things of that nature. Once we were introduced to the new marketing director there and head of sales, it just really knitted together. We spoke all the way through fall into the wintertime, and it was time to go shake hands and greet each other face to face. So my wife and I hopped on an airplane. We flew to Denmark. Um, this company rolled out the green carpet, or the red carpet, I should
Well,
say.
today it'd be
I'm
green.
thinking still St. Patrick's Day green carpet. Yeah.
That's right.
So they rolled out the red carpet, and I knew it was a great click from the first time that we shook hands. Um, Meeting the company, meeting the employees, going through everything. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but um, I just knew it was a perfect fit. Once we went to the demo, um, then I realized we were on to something much bigger, and that was this mini sweeper that would fit into all these nooks and crannies and in between buildings and small alleyways, walkways, cart paths. We also spoke about, the bike lanes and different things of that nature. That potential just kept me up for the next 2 nights while I was over there thinking about the possibilities. And, make a long story short, we agreed to move forward. And, Eghelm and their owners, we shook hands, signed the agreement that day, and we came back and we started LLC company of JTC Articulated.
Well, those are that's a great overview. I've been, as somebody would see if they went to WorldSweeper and to our countries section, I've been to Denmark, and I saw that as the cleanest country that
Oh
I've.
my.
It's just amazing. They rolled out that same carpet for me, and I got to see all of the sweepers that swept the city, do put on a little dog and pony show for me, and it was really a great story. So I am a believer in the quality of equipment and so forth, and the integrity of the Denmark. I don't know if you call it the social creed or whatever, but I can understand that's the case. Now, Bradley, you're going to talk about what these machines are, right? Did you
Yeah,
develop
yeah,
a PowerPoint that we can see some of them and that sort of thing?
right, right. So just so that you know how I fit into this picture, I've known Jim for a few years now, um, coming at it from, again, articulated equipment. I've got a background, I'm an engineer by degree. I've got a background in machinery and everything else. And Jim and I started having the discussion when this other machine became unavailable, and we kind of bounced things back and forth. And I said, well, look, if you decide to go forward, I'm very interested in jumping in with both feet on this. So he said, well, here's who I'm looking at and everything. And I went, okay, great. So when he came back with the signatures on the paperwork and everything else, he said, hey, we're going to go do this. I said, all right. So I picked up the dubious title of national sales manager. And he said, you got a lot of geography. You got a big job ahead of you. And I said, I understand. But this machine is just incredible in the company. And I'll be going over in September. My plan is to go and meet people. They're going to have a couple people coming here, hopefully this spring. But I'll get a chance to go over and go through the factory just like Jim did. But like I say, looking at it, what it can do, where it fits and everything, and the fact that there are actually 3 different machines that they build, we just see a tremendous opening for the sweeping contractors, but then also, as you mentioned, our snow contractors who need that narrow machine. But the nice part is that when they're done with snow, they can put the sweeper heads on, go back and see the same clients and say, now we'll go clean up, any of the ice melt that we drop down and sand or whatever. So now they keep working, all year round. And that's the beauty of this machine, is that you can keep swapping out attachments, and you keep your crews busy, you keep your income flowing, and you keep your customers thrilled. So if we want to do that,
That's a real important part, I think, to be able to have versatility in a machine. So that's a good thing to bring up. But yeah, I'll let you proceed and.
So JTC Articulated, we are the U.S. distributor for Egholm AS, which is the parent company in Denmark. Jim Hutchins is the owner, and I call him managing director, boss, all those good things. And I am the national sales manager. So what is Egholm? Egholm is a system, or I should say, is a company of basically 3 machines. We depict a 4th one here. The from the left to right, the first 2 are the Park Ranger 2150, one without a cab and one with a cab. And we have the City Ranger 2260, the next one, and then the last one is the City Ranger 3070. So these machines run from 25 horse Perkins diesel to a 33 gas Kubota, and then back to a 74 horse Perkins diesel again. The beauty of these machines is they are articulated. They hinge in the middle, which gives them tremendous navigation capabilities in congested areas, tight areas. And as you can see, you have a multiplicity of attachments that can go on. So you can start with a basic tractor and build it out as a sweeper and put a mower on it. You can put a broom for removing snow, snow blowers, blades, and there's a few other attachments that we're looking into that can do things like steaming weeds in pavement areas to kill them, so you're not using chemicals.
Nice.
We've got a deep gutter brush that can get down into the heavy dirt and clean out those gutters. And then if it's simply to get it out of the gutter for a bigger, more traditional street sweeper, the machine can come in and do that. So again, here's our 3 machines. And let me see, I can just reduce this just a little bit here. There we are. Yeah. So again, and I stand corrected. I keep saying this is a 26. It's actually 25. And the reason it's down is that Perkins is producing a special engine that allows this to be imported into the United States.
Oh.
Yep. To get the U.S. sticker on it. I'm not sure what changes they made, but it required a special label. And so the very first 2 that Perkins is producing for Egholm are going into our machines so that we can bring them in. So again, I stand corrected. That should be 25, not 26. But as I note in the bottom, you can get into very narrow areas, 48 inches wide on the sweeping. And with the big machine, you can go all the way up to 9 feet. So you can clear, some pretty good area, and allows the 3070 to get into parking lots and doing, larger areas that you would normally consider either a parking lot sweeper or some of the other fixed frame machines that are out there.
Bradley, one of the other things that we should probably add in here, yes, the machines are articulated, but they also oscillate.
Yes.
With that, it's not a solid frame. There's a lot of machines on the market that have a solid frame that can't pivot coming on and off of the curbs, handicap walks, things of that nature. So that's another huge advantage to have one of these small machines in the municipalities and the different contractor applications, is because we can flex in and out of these places that we have to navigate. So that's just one more thing with that oscillation that gives our machine a huge advantage of what's being produced or sold here in the States now.
Jim,
right. So for people, articulation is bending in the middle. Yeah. The oscillation is this way. So we can climb curbs,
the curb line, and go onto the sidewalk and come back down. Yeah, yep. I saw some of that while I was in Europe and probably in Denmark, and I've always thought that's a huge a help, especially if you have places where you've had homeless people leaving a bunch of trash and so forth. There's things on the pavement. Now I'm seeing a lot of brooms. Is this broom or air pickup that we're seeing?
These are air. So you can see this one here, we've got the hose. In these 2 machines, there is a brush right at the inlet nozzle for these machines. They are PM10, so they are filtered. So we shouldn't have any problems with dust, again, here in the United States.
And do you have to use water for dust suppression, or the filters handle it?
The filters can handle it, but you generally want to use the water because it's just going to knock more of that dust down.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but if you're in a situation where you're vacuuming up something that is going to turn really sticky, because with a machine of this size, you could actually go into a factory that makes produces flour, or in a food plant, and be vacuuming up stuff that's just on the ground.
Yeah.
And you might prefer to keep it dry as opposed to wetting it. Now you got a really ugly mess to wash out of your hopper.
Yeah.
So you have that flexibility.
Another application that for that is porous pavement, or pervious pavement, some people call it. Yep. But you can't use water in that. And having a direct suction machine without water is where you want to go.
Exactly. Because I think the regenerative air guys pretty dominant in that porous pavement area, but they can't get into the smaller areas, walkways, little common areas around buildings that are going to use that porous pavement, in order to get the water to disperse. So, we're a perfect fit to go into those applications.
Yeah, right. And regenerative air is not as good as vacuum. There's no question about it.
Exactly. So again, you can see there's a whole range of attachments. If on the 2150, there's a sweeper, so that if you're dealing with, your mowing, you can pick up those clippings. So, around very high value properties, country clubs, places that are very particular about the look, they don't want dry grass clippings. You mow and you pick it all up. You can pick up leaves. There's basically a sweeper head for that.
Bradley,
the nice.
Sorry to interrupt, but could you
go ahead
in on that? Go away from 75% and go up to 100, 125.
Oh.
So that we can see. Yeah, go up. Yeah, 125.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So we can.
I can move these around a little bit so you can see.
Yeah,
but
the middle one to see what we're doing.
Yeah. So we've got sweepers. We have a flail mower.
Uh-huh.
That's something else. So with some of the clients you're dealing with have, they've nice finished lawn, but they have rough areas and they only need that mowed a couple of times a year. The flail mower does an excellent job of going in there and taking down some of the taller grass and weeds, light brush. There's a weed brush, which it's an all steel brush. So that, again, when you're getting into those gutters that are deep and need that dirt dug out, or grasses, or I was saying to Jim the other day, a perfect application is if you look at the concrete medians in a lot of cities and stuff, when you pull up at a stoplight or whatever, and you'll see the grass that's kind of growing out of the cracks. That's a perfect application to sweep and rip all that out without the use of chemicals. And I think it's, for us, it'll be a little bit of an education process with, street departments, highway departments, to say, hey, we can help you get rid of these grasses, which you don't want because they're damaging to the pavement. Sure. But you can do it without any chemicals.
Right, and that's big. Those chemicals, a lot of people don't want to be using those anymore. And the ability to sweep snow, I think that's huge in the especially where you are in the Northeast.
Yep.
And what they're calling a tipping shovel, I think, is just a front bucket, and that's very handy.
Very handy, easy moving around material. We have a bed edger, so around those, all those nice finished landscaping, you go in there and you get a nice clean edge. So again, with these higher end properties, country clubs, golf courses and things, they want all those beds edged, and you don't really want to have a guy out there with the straight spade doing it by hand.
Right. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, the snow brooms are really valuable. Obviously, you can use it year round, but in the winter months, when you get those lighter snowfalls, now you're, as opposed to a blade, now you're getting right down to bare pavement. So as soon as the sun comes out, it melts off whatever's there, provides a nice, safe, walking space and such. So, some of the people, now I live down in Virginia, so we don't get quite the snow that, you get up in New York and places like that. We've got the snow blowers, we've got the blades for that. But, down here, you could probably get through most of your winter with just using the broom. And it leaves it nice and clean. And, again, it reverses, so you can come up to a door, you can spin it backwards, pull that away from the doorway, in office parks and things like that, being able to sweep down to bare pavement. For one, it's safety, but the other thing is the building managers love it because you're not tracking snow into the building, so they don't have to mop the floors.
And you're not scraping the pavement you can with a blade.
Right. And if you're with, some of the areas where you've got pavers, or, maybe they've laid something else, maybe it's slate or some other paving material that, you don't want to scratch it or scrape it. And even if you have a plastic edge on your blade, here again, the brush just does a really nice job. So, and again, we've got mowers. When you get up into the 3070, we have, it goes all the way up to a 10-foot wide mower. So, maintaining properties is not a problem with these machines. And on the back, it doesn't, well, here on this machine, there are salt spreaders. So, you're plowing and you can throw down salt or de-icing materials, whatever you may be using.
Well, this sounds like something those Danes would do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pretty darn efficient folks.
Yep.
Thanks for
So
in on that, because I think that really brings out the versatility of these machines. Pretty strong.
well, that's just it. Like they say, multifunction for all year round. And, to our contractors, multifunction, also means, multi-revenue.
Sure.
So depending on their relationship with like I say, an office park or a school campus or something like that, now they can come in and provide a slate of services as opposed to, gee, I'm just plowing snow in the wintertime
Right.
because somebody else has got the mowing job. Now they can go in and they can do more with the same machine.
Yeah.
One of their main mission statements was, honest work, honest machines by honest people. And, my trip to Denmark, that really represented that, and seeing those people firsthand, it was amazing to go through the factory and see the dedication of every employee there at Egholm. The folks have been there for some of them been there for over 25 years. And each one of these folks spoke to us. They greeted us. They were happy. There was, like you said, there was no trash anywhere. There was no dirt. I was just completely amazed. I've been in a good handful of tractor manufacturers, and I mean, all of them I thought were well advanced until I went to Denmark. And then I was like, wow, these boys here in the United States have some things to catch up on, because, like I said, I was just blown away. I knew that we made the right decision hopping on that airplane. So
Let me break in to say something on that topic too. One of the things I found out when I was in Denmark, because of their very strong social system, is at the time anyway, if somebody quit their job or were fired or for whatever reason, they got, seems like it was 80% of their current salary, something like that, for 2 years. And the idea in Denmark was to have upward mobility so that if you lost your job or wanted to get out of it, then you had time to move upward on the ladder rather than having to, now I got to take whatever I can get kind of thing. So it's much more difficult to keep your employees loyal in Denmark than it is in a lot of other places. So it really means something when you say they've been there for 25 years. They're there because they want to, because they appreciate that company. So
the one of the other things that we didn't notice, I guess until I guess the third day there, was the owners. There's two brothers that are owners, and when they are around the factory in the morning, they will walk in and greet every one of their employees. And then at lunchtime, the company actually supplies lunch to their workers.
wow.
So I was really taken by that. He says, we want our employees to eat healthy. We want them to be happy, and we don't want them to have to worry about what they're going to eat for lunch. So I was really taken by that as well, that this company brings in, it's almost like fresh catering every day for their employees. But on the last day, the employees, I guess, were asking Brian, one of my, he's my main contact. They were asking him, so how did we do? So it was almost like they were at a job interview, or something of that nature. And for each one of those employees to ask Brian, so how did we do? Did we impress, the Americans? And also we had a Canadian group there that signed a distributorship as well, up in Canada. And we both sat back that night and spoke about the dedication of these employees, their dress, their demeanor, the cleanliness. And one other thing, when you said something about Denmark, I can honestly tell you, I don't think we ran across one person that was begging, on a street corner or at a stop sign or something of that nature. Now, when we came back into Baltimore, Maryland, that was a little bit different. But yeah, the streets were clean. The first night that we slept in Lemvig, Denmark, woke up about 3:30 in the morning, and I was like, man, what is this thing outside my window? And I happened to look up and peek out the window, and here was one of these small Egholm units delivering salt, spreading salt, I thought at a high rate of speed for what he was getting accomplished. I mean, the funny thing was, 2 nights later, we were in a different town about an hour away, and I heard the same sound about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I looked out the window. So a lot of the municipalities, a lot of the townships and contractors are using this product in their own country there, which is also impressive. When you see something like that, you know that's just more of a security that you've made the right decision.
That's a great.
It almost looked like a lot of this was staged. It was that perfect. But when we hopped back on that plane, it was like, oh my goodness, we have such a blessing in front of us with this product and this company. So, it's one of the other things that we noticed at our first show. Of course, we don't have equipment yet. We were talking mostly on brochures and also a poster and some different things like you see behind me. A customer came up, and he was a painting contractor, and he has big sweep trucks and different things of that nature where they media blast the curbing to get them repainted, whether or not it's a fire curb, things of that nature. And he says, this is such a messy product. It's an environmental problem, different things of that nature. And he is one of our first demos that we are going to try a aggressive bristle on the heads on our brooms to see whether or not we can't go along that curb, along the face of that curb and the top of that curb to clean that up and be able to suck all that paint flakes and different debris up so they're ready to go back and paint that much quicker. So we'll keep you posted on that. But I think that's a huge thing across the United States as well, is picking up this paint that's on these curbs and things of that nature and being able to do it quicker, easier, and safer. That's probably the big thing. So
keep them out of the water stream.
Yeah.
So, the question is, and it was ironic I could find this same street in two views.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, when we're talking about adding these machines into a contractor's fleet, when you go to sweeping and then it snows, are you parking that equipment? And as you and I had talked about, Ranger, a few weeks ago when we just chatted on the phone, the trouble is when your seasons change and if you don't have the equipment to be able to follow the seasonal changes, what happens to your people? Are you letting people go? You have to put them on, furlough them until the season comes back. And, you've got a guy who's experienced, he knows how to run your machinery, and then he's down for a few months. He needs to find a job and he may not come back.
Absolutely.
But if you've got the equipment to just swap over, he's like, okay, I'm plowing snow or sweeping streets, clearing snow. And then when it all leaves, he goes back to sweeping. So, pretty powerful. So, and this photo is really nice because it shows you, here's an area, you got to get under these benches. And these brooms are low profile, so they can get in and sweep and clean up areas that normally get, ignored. They can get around, in this country here, a lot of buildings now have the big safety bollards, and preventing cars from getting too close. And it's like, well, how do you clean around all those? With this machine, or even the 2150, you can maneuver in around all those bollards, clean everything up, keep, especially I live outside of DC, and every building's got these big bollards that stand up, and this way, with this type of machinery, you can go in there and keep them clean. So just kind of briefly, if you're looking at a compact sweeper, and there's a number of machines out there, different designs, you want something that can get even the smallest areas. The Park Ranger 2150 is the smallest compact articulated sweeper in the market. We've already gone through and looked at competitive machines, and there isn't anything that is the same size as the 2150. Anything that's out there is basically moves up in terms of our competitive nature. You need something that's going to be able to go into those tight little areas, get into a little street or a little sidewalk, or between two tightly positioned buildings. You want to be able to operate when pedestrians are around. Some of the big sweepers, you can't really operate when you've got people wandering around. But these guys, they're quiet. They're not spewing dust or anything. So you can move. You don't have to be nighttime only service. So that opens it up. One man can do the work of many, and they do it quickly, quietly. And as I've said, these machines generate additional revenues, because now you can, as a contractor, you can provide more services. You want to get into the small areas. From a sweeping standpoint, 48 inches wide, but I think, I don't remember off the top of my head, Jim, I think the broom is even a slightly narrower than that. So that, 36-inch sidewalks are generally very typical, and we can hit those very easily without, being overly wide. We can navigate around things, snow, mow, sweep, do all kinds of different things. And as I said just a few moments ago, helping to retain personnel. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he actually mows solar farms. And he said, I've got, several contracts, and I do. And he says, people keep coming to me, offering me more contracts. But he said, my problem is I can't find people. A, I can't find people. And then B, I can't find people I can trust to send them out with, tens of thousands of dollars worth of machinery and not destroy something. Yeah. So being able to keep qualified, trained people with year-round assignments, I think is an important part for any company that's running today. Being these sweepers are multifunctional. Again, there's other machines out there, but all they do is sweep. So if we can just take and swap attachments, and I'm going to jump back one slide here, just so you understand, to take this whole sweeping rig off is one single lever, and it only takes you about 20 seconds to disconnect this.
Wow.
And to remove the sweeper hopper, again, it only takes you about a minute or two, and there's one lever. And when you engage the lever here or engage the lever here, you physically connect, and all your hydraulics and electrics are connected at the same time. So you can't cross connect. Anybody can hook this machine up and go from one task to another in less than 5 minutes. So they've done a beautiful job in the engineering of this. And again, it allows you to be able to go from job to job to job in very rapid order. So what makes us best? Everyone wants to be the best, but I think with Egholm, we're there. We've got several different machines of different sizes. We've got a range of attachments. Everything that you've seen in the brochures are attachments that Egholm makes, but there are people out there that have other attachments that'll fit on the Egholm tractors and we're looking at those to add even more capabilities to our customers. This is a well-engineered machine. It's very well thought out. How they route hydraulic hoses and electrical, and how they build their cabs and everything else. There's a lot of thought goes into that engineering. Proven performance. Remind me again, Jim, I think they've got 6,000 Park Ranger 2150s out, and they've got, I think, a total over 10,000, probably close to 11,000 machines total out there running.
Yeah, it was well over 6,000 of the smaller machines, and combined, you've got when you've got that many machines and you got 30 years behind you of manufacturing, that was another big check on our checklist as far as bringing something that wasn't very well known. It's not known here at all yet, and we're looking to change that. But being able to have that behind us, and the support, and sitting there talking about the serviceability and some of the things that we've seen in the articulated field for over 30 years, we've seen that there's issues there after 1,000 hours, after 2,000 hours. And I spent a lot of time looking at the articulation, oscillation of these tractors. And then on our tour, they showed us 3 different testing booths that they have there in their factory. And they'll set a machine for 14 hours or 18 hours straight. And, this will just be rocking this machine back and forth constantly. And as it's rocking, it's also oscillating and articulating. So they can test severe heat. They can test severe cold. They can test severe neglect. So when they have neglect, someone's not cleaning the machine, they're not greasing it. They can see how long their product is holding up. They don't have to have an outside company do that. And that was another, that was just a huge bonus.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that kind of testing in a factory done by a manufacturer before in-house. So, and that was my main point. I said, well, how often do we have to change these articulation points on the 2150? And they kind of looked at me like I had 3 heads, and they were like, Jim, we don't have a problem there. And I was like, you don't have a problem at all? And I said, we've been with different manufacturers before, and we've seen that we have to change this articulation point, this stabilizer point, sometimes as early as 100 hours in. And they were like, you're not having to do this.
Yeah.
Once we left the factory, we went to a dealership there that was about an hour and a half away. And of course, I was able to pick their brains a little bit and see some of the machines they had in their shop. Of course, one of the machines, it looked like it's been through the salt mine, looked like it fell off the back of a truck. Then the guy tells me, he says, you wouldn't believe that machine right there has over 10,000 hours on it. And it was a snow machine that was on the sidewalks every day, and the machine was 15 years old. So that was pretty impressive.
Made you feel pretty
The
good.
products that we're using here in the States with the salt and the brine would tear a piece of equipment up. But after seeing what they were testing with over there, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So then the big question is, where do you get an Egholm? Well, you're looking at the 2 guys that are going to be responsible for all this. And here's our phone numbers, so you can contact us directly. We are looking for dealers. I mean, that is going to be a big part of my focus, but also going right to end customers. If someone wants to come and talk to me, if it's a sweeping contractor, if it's a snow contractor, we're lining up shows right now here and there. Our very first show is going to be with the American Public Works Association, our local chapter. It's a 1-day down in Herndon, Virginia. So we'll be, again, being our first official trade show, if you will.
Yeah.
And when that show is done, Jim's loading up his machine and he's heading down towards Dollywood with the hopes of going and showing Dollywood what we could do with the machine to keep the park nice and clean. Yeah, we're pretty excited. Egholm has already designated a certain amount of production for us, so that we can go out there and start booking these orders, and they can start shipping equipment in.
That's great. That's great.
That's
I
nice.
thought that these small sweepers needed a bigger market share in the United States. So I think you're getting into this in the right time with what looks to be the right type of machine. So congratulations on that, and I just wish you all success.
Well, thank
we
you.
appreciate
We're excited. I know I am.
I can see it. Is there any questions I should have asked that I didn't, that you can think of? I think we've covered it, but I always ask that question.
Yeah. No, like I said, we're out there looking at everybody, and I'm eager to start see the emails and the phone calls come flying in and saying, hey, I want to go see this machine. And we'll be equipped to haul it in and set up some demos with all sorts of people. But I agree with you. I think and Jim has seen this in Europe. I've traveled to Europe and other countries myself, and I agree. There's a market niche that isn't being addressed, to have this kind of equipment and sweep and clean, keeping our cities clean, keeping our communities clean. Jim and I both live in what's called the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of effort that goes into keeping things out of the drains, out of streams and stuff. And these machines are a perfect fit because we can get into those places where stuff is getting into drains that shouldn't, but it's because the other sweeper machines can't get access to it.
Right.
So, we can be a big part of keeping some of our waterways clean. I mean, as you look at the industry, you realize how really important street sweeping and cleaning is, and how it affects the environment. And again, I'm an environmental engineer by degree, so that's a near and dear thing to me. And so I'm excited about what these machines mean to improving the environment.
Well, I agree completely. That's why I started American Sweeper magazine in the 90s, and have continued on with WorldSweeper, because there's no question sweeping is the first line of defense for water quality, and the more we can push that, the better. Our latest studies show that when you remove material that you want to get rid of by sweeping, like nitrogen and phosphorus, it's 500% more cost effective to do it with a sweeper than to wait till it runs into a catch basin someplace. So and I would think that downtown associations, this would be a good market for this machine. And
Yep.
variety of segmented out areas like the bike lanes you're talking about. So
Bike lanes, and
go ahead.
I was just out last night with my wife and in DC, and there's a whole new development in the area that's referred to as the wharf. And we were walking, and now that I'm into this, I can't help but always looking down and stuff. And I was noticing where, just all of the paved areas, all the walkways between the buildings, they're getting dirty,
Right.
from people spilling coffee or whatever. And, that's the next sort of adjunct onto this, is that, hey, we can run through with these machines and actually scrub all those surfaces and keep them clean, vacuum up all that material and dispose of it properly. So that, again, we're providing a cleaner environment for residents and, all different levels.
Well, I don't think there's any better place to leave it than with that sentiment. And
Okay.
we will. And I wish you both the best of fortune with this. And luck is where preparation meets opportunity, and it looks like you're well prepared and have a real good opportunity with the Egholm brand. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.